everybody, this is Salvi here with the Vtuber news coming right up for you. Before that, of course, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell, and the like button as well, and let's get right into it. And a real quick reminder here, this was my first impressions, and this was also during a stream where I was streamed for 15 hours trying to get through the whole document. So some things may be very cut up because this was, trying to cut for time type of thing. So I hope things don't seem too disjointed, and thank you for watching. To present the full story, facts around the evidence with complete transparency, defend myself against the purpose of the document is this. Of course, Red's and her perspective, take accountability for everything. Let's see if she actually does that. Are guilty of in the past couple of years. We were revealed with the original documents or not. Document will not absolve either of us. That's all we're doing. So she says it isn't trying to absolve her. She takes responsibility. Dispel rumors, misconceptions, theories about me. Show how and why things actually occurred, and to point out the refute discrepancies and lies and claims and statements made against me. We've done things wrong, but the amount of degree of them is incredibly exaggerated or completely made up. And that is the thing, of course. It being made up is the thing. So that is the thing that she is claiming, that a lot of these things are made up. I can't say whether they are or are not, because we are only privy to or know the information that was given to us by the people involved. So that is that is a thing. We don't know. We only know what we're being told. So document contains speculation. Baseless accusations were made against me without evidence, so I kept speculation labeled as such. At least she labels the speculation. That's the same problem. She shows parts of it. Basically try to embarrass herself in front of the whole world. Doesn't matter if we believe her. What matters is the things she shows evidence of. The rest doesn't matter. Hello, Joel. What's transpired? Oh, the Empress of Vtuber being keys in it again. Yeah, again, this one, yeah. Understand being blindsided by the original apology. Same time, it wasn't even really an apology. Yeah, I can see that part. I can see what you guys are saying there. But we have to see. We have to see what it is. We'll try to read as much of it as we can. Document does not fuel harassment or spread hate towards anyone involved. I'm doing what's listed above, posting a document in the same public setting the original documents were. Basically, she's saying, don't judge me for doing what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing that everyone else did. I don't know if that works so well. We'll see. Made out to be a two-faced, greedy, jealous, psychopathic, narcissistic, who maliciously used, stalked, sabotaged, or betrayed the closest to me, anyone around me for my own gain for years, manipulating my way to the top. You were lied to. Things are done wrong. There are things that are done wrong. Image of me could be further from reality. Basically, she's saying here it was all basically character assassination, public assassination, lies, assumptions, things like that. The accusers tried to painted her to be the most horrible thing out there. Could have continued streaming and profited from the drama and marked over 30 million views. The situation garnered. Could have let everyone forget about this and come back like nothing happened, but it's not true. Couldn't allow myself to move on without making things right. Everything that's come out, stories that followed have been blown out of proportion, so she's going here as well. Both Red and I have done nothing wrong, and all that be addressed here, but the story everyone was told about the reality of what happened. Every single person I've ever interacted with in the past almost 5 years, even the closest to me, and every single interaction with them, would have to have been fake for the story told about me to be true. So she's saying, for people that know her, people that are, from what I'm taking here, take what what she has done in the past with you as the truth, not what these people are saying, from what I'm gathering. Basically saying there are people that are creating narratives out there to try to paint her in a bad way. Believe that there were two people responsible for things that played out, with the third person merely having an axe to grind against someone they never liked. None of this lied overwhelmingly about what happened between her and Red, sat back, played everyone, including my friends, shallily lied about me from the start, orchestrated things behind the scenes, manipulated the public to their side. Silverveil took the opportunity to lie about all our interactions together, making things even worse for me. They had the most to gain from my cancellation, including their own satisfaction. None of them could take accountability for their own actions and pushed it all onto me instead. The only two people that could disprove their lies were just made into lying manipulators and wiped off the internet. So, she's going hard on this. Already you can tell she's going hard. She's going aggressive. A lot of people wanted her to do this from the beginning, but it does take some time. It's not a good look. We're going to see things here that do not look good for an analyst. I think Natalis is the one that gets hit hardest on this, just based on what she talked about and what was said and what is going to be shown in the evidence in the non-list section. Aside from the label speculation, everything else presented in this document is true to the best of the knowledge. Keep in mind, no matter who you are, opinions, thoughts, and feelings can change a lot over a long period of time, better or worse. Back and forth a lot to put things here. Basically, she's continuing here on this whole thing. Should I send everything written here? Sorry for the things I've done wrong. I made a very hard decision. She did give up her part ownership in GamerSubs because she was a part owner with Shy Lily. And I think Asmongold also owns GamerSubs, I think, partially. I'm not sure. Worked hard for them since December 2022. Earning this position was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. I'm honored they chose to give me the opportunity, and I've been immensely proud to have the title. As sad as I am to do this, feels I need to protect the company I love, the people that work there, everyone associated over my own interests. GamerSubs suffered a lot of damage when all the accusations were made about me that fell on my shoulders. This is my responsibility as part owner, and I don't want any harm or negative to come to them having the position. I'm pretty sure she got some kind of compensation for that, though. They probably bought her out, more than likely. They gave her the opportunity to be bought out, and she probably took it. I didn't have to do this. I wasn't asked, forced, or coerced to make a decision. There are things more important to me than business. I notified them of my decision in June, and it will take effect the same time the document is published. So, basically, early October, she's no longer part of GamerSubs. Some people will say, I've heard the rumors and the not ramblings, but the things around saying that Shy Lily's going to be super happy that this happened because this is what Shy Lily wanted, etc. There are going to be people saying that, of course. There are always going to be people saying these things because that's just the way things work nowadays, unfortunately. But each tab is going to be on the events related to the claims made against me. They're basically saying they're going to try to do all these things, and of course saying, mentioning the Nanolist Bow V card, culminating the section breaking down what we've seen throughout them. Because I live in 2025, I need to say this document was written about the use of AI, etc. Red and I are still together. We had a falling out and I spent time apart with the other documents that dropped in on April 26th, but he was still here for me when I was ready to talk. And Red is going to be in blue, as you can see here. It says Red and I are still together. We had a falling out, spent time apart. The documents dropped on April 26th, but he was still here for me when I was ready to talk to him again. We were able to work things out between us and forgive each other for what happened. Wasn't planning on saying anything about this again publicly, but I felt we needed to. Years ago, cheated on Red for my own selfish reasons. Things said about him were own frustrations and past experiences. I made things sound much worse than they were at the time. Mischaracterized the person he is. Red already knew this happened way before it was made public in April. So at the very least, she was open about it. At the very least, she let him know that this was happening. It says, Red and I have always had some level of communication problems with each other. Neither of us are good communicators, and that's the big problem. In a relationship, you need to be a good communicator. So yeah, that's the big issue. They have communication problems. We butt heads, disagree. It's never perfect. Anyone in a relationship would know about and agree everything the partner feels, says, crazy to me. I'm not the only one who's ever had a significant other keep secrets from them. Neither is Red. Every relationship is different and has its own nuances, dynamics, problems, functioning in a way that two people who are involved fully understand. Basically, this is their whole thing with Redacted. Became Cinder, we wanted to keep our relationship private and public. Red was simply my manager. We hid our relationship from my friends over a year during multiple trips. We agreed that I'd tell my closest friends about our relationship in March 2024 because we felt we were close enough and trusted them to tell them. When we traveled, my friends saw us close to each other and showing our work DMs or our phones almost all the time from chats we were both in instead of talking about things out loud. Keep our projects while away and to keep them private between us. It's easier to say, look at this, to keep the other on the same page rather than have a verbal conversation. While we're around the same people at almost all times of the day, whatever we saw, conversations or vacations was all they saw. Only Red and I would have an idea how it worked together. So, yeah. Lived with Red and his family for the summer of 2022 and the end of February 2025. Never outright told anyone this. I included my closest friends. So yeah, she lived with Red for about 3 years. Wanted to keep at least part of our personal lives private from everyone, even telling some people we lived apart. Stream, I've always lived with my family and friends and streamed in the basement. The basement's part is true. It's where I spent the majority of my time. It's where I worked and streamed from. My career started there in 2021 with my ASMR. Red was the one on with the PC, mic experience, the content creation. So Red helped her out, she's saying. The more and more often until I moved in and became a full-time streamer. For most of my earliest streams, the PNG model, Red would be the one in the room with me, modding on a laptop and making sure things would run smoothly. He was there as my tech support. Time I could barely play games, let alone understand how OBS worked. So he helped her a lot. He just basically, she right here is glazing him quite a bit to try to make it be like, hey, he wasn't such a bad person. That really doesn't matter, in my opinion. It really isn't even a big part of the whole thing. It's more on, she's trying to protect the person she loves, I think, here. With his PC and his own room and worked from there since, starting sometime last year. Streams kept disconnecting and couldn't figure out why. This was going on for months, and no matter what we did, it kept happening. We thought there could be something wrong with the internet there and couldn't fix it. So as a last resort, my parents and I made space for me, and I moved back in with them and my entire stream setup in February. We were able to fix the problem, but I ended up having nothing to do with the internet. I've been working and living here since then, separate from Red. And the reason why I'm revealing all this now is because we have easily gone through each of these DMs whenever we wanted in these 3 years, but we didn't. Basically saying that they should have done that before. Working together, choosing to have Red continue working with me. This is the big mistake in my opinion. Again, this is just an opinion, but this is a big mistake. He'll be doing most of what he did for me before, but will not be doing any work related to communication for me in any channels so I'm a part of. Well, at least she's taken away that kind of trust there. It's clear to me that she learned his own lesson. I'm not so sure about that. Only time will tell, and only she will know. But she really seems to be protecting the guy she loves. That's what this whole thing is about here. When we hear what I am, it's just part of SInder. Basically, she's right here. It wasn't just a matter of how to handle some messages. She's also part of a lot of things I did. Always been the main creative mind behind the debuts and releases too. Even with how involved I was, Red's still his own person. Own ideas, his own opinions, his own feelings towards people, and his own goals. Own ambitions, working under the same brand as me. So yeah, this is, from what I'm seeing here, it is just start of the year we moved into own work, related conversations with various artists into project server, so everything could be organized in one place. I could be included in the discussions and everything making where I needed to. This was for organization, convenience, and so I could interact with every person working under me directly. Didn't mean Red didn't still use his DMs to do business and talk to people we were working with. You should have kept more tabs on the DMs that were going on. However, this didn't mean this basically they didn't, of course. Allegations in Nano's document. No one else we've worked with has ever complained about Red. We both worked with dozens of people who I believe would say their experience working with us was nothing but positive. Like I said in my apology, there were things Red didn't tell me about or hid from me and did without me knowing in his DMs. They're all shown in this document in the order below. I didn't know that these things would be beyond what I was told, but if I was at all. Red's inclusion of Bound Cotton in his exclusivity deal with Nano in January 2025. These things here. Red telling artist number 1, Bao is someone he considered competition. While discussing exclusivity on the same day as deal with Nano. Red's conversation with Nano about Shy Lily. Red's conversation with Mod number 1, Silverveil throughout 2024 and 2025. Asking artist number 2 about working with Silverveil. Our conversation with artist number 1 about Silverveil and all that kind of stuff. So it says, these are the things that Red didn't tell her about. Artist number 1 and number 2 and Mod number 1 are hidden to protect the privacy since they weren't directly involved in everything that happened in April. They were reintroduced later in the document. So, falling out, the night the first documents were posted, Red was with me, and the streaming came over to see me while we worked on a few things together. We were still awake when Nano and Bao posted their documents at almost 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I was very, very late for her. Didn't understand what was going on and started panicking. Red tried to explain what happened, but I blew up at him and kicked him out, regrettably refusing his help. We weren't in contact for almost a month after. Had one close friend reach out to me after things were public, responded to them after some time Red was gone. I chose not to include their own message here. So sorry, blank, I'm trying to collect myself. Red and I aren't speaking right now, and I'm so upset with everything. I was distraught, and I posted Red was fired later that morning. Wasn't trying to throw him under the bus. To avoid accountability, I was blindsided by my friends publicly pointing the finger at me for his words and actions I didn't even know about. I didn't agree with. I didn't know what else to do. In my apology, I said, as of yesterday, he's no longer working with me. I have exclusively discussed anything of this with him. Not extensively discussed anything with him. Red will continue working with me. I'll be deleting this tweet sometime after posting this document. This was here. Posted on 426. She has the thing there with all the documents that were done in a community post. Because she got community posted. She got community noted, whatever, almost right away. And that was part of the issue that was going on with, in the way that she saw it, at least. So my apology, taking accountability. Now that I've reviewed everything that happened in time to reflect on my own actions, there's some details I need to point out, and I need to make for my apology. Then I'll go over the things Red, I, or both of us did wrong, so we can take accountability. Each section after this will explain the full story around each major individual involved, anything Red and I did, defending ourselves against everything we didn't do. Quotes from my apology will be present throughout the document to show what they were in reference to. So, let's continue. Screenshots from another document are highlighted with orange. Dates, important messages with any screenshots are highlighted in yellow. Quotes from my apology are highlighted in gray. Red's own documents are anything being presented, labeled, and highlighted in blue. So they've made it easier for people to read, which is very good. So this was the apology. Let's go through without all the info in front of me, all knowing the full scope. Basically, she's repeating what she said before, that this was a reactionary apology. It was too quick. She didn't have all the information. She shut him out at that point in time, so she didn't have his help in any of this. It says the main takeaway people have from my apology was that I pushed everything onto Red and didn't take accountability for anything myself. What I blamed Red for in my apology because he was guilty of doing them, him telling me how great it would be to work together with Silverveil, him holding a grudge against Bao. What I blamed for in my apology when I was also guilty, Red was the one with the business-oriented outlook. So basically, she didn't know about bad-mouthing Bao. Red talking to Nano and Shy Lily about her model in April 2025. Things I said about Red in my apology that I was wrong about. He did not manipulate Nano. He did not push Nano to not work with Silverveil. She was not a constant topic between them. Things I took accountability for in my apology was agreeing with Red to talk about Nano about exclusivity, agreeing to specifically name Silverveil in terms, knowing a deal involving her was made, guilt-tripping Nano, feeling overly attached to Nano and her work, not knowing what Red said about Bao and Nano. So she took some responsibility here, as you can see. Not speaking about Bao about Nano, Red's feelings towards her and letting it spiral to the point it did, being upset about taking it personally when Bao had hired a video editor. Being upset and taking it personally when Bao hired my video editor. Being upset when Sacramore told us he wouldn't be working with us again. Confiding in Red about Shali's behavior towards me. Becoming resentful towards Silverveil. Letting my insecurities and public comments influence my feelings towards Silverveil. Assuming Spite copied me. That was a big one. That was a big mistake she made. Being very possessive of my design details early in my career. Overreacting to Nyantail's Hellhound OC design, which I apologized for in the past. Cheating on my boyfriend, neglecting or leaving behind friends of mine. So she's taking some accountability here, at least. So she's just taking some accountability here. I admitted to the world that cheated on my secret boyfriend. The story took the accountability to use him as a scapegoat. Even when all these concessions I did do, I was still somehow a narcissist who could not accept any faults. What I did was not admit to the right things that people were making the claims already decided I was guilty of. They also expected me to apologize for everything I've ever done without any of it ever being mentioned, even if the matter was already settled in the past. I understand that the things my manager did that I didn't know are ultimately my responsibility, and my ignorance doesn't change any of that. Should have taken more care to check up on what he was saying and doing, but I was being blamed publicly for things I had nothing to do with. My accusers went out of the way to claim Cinder did this, Cinder did that, completely disregarding Red's agency from any of the words his actions. The proof I must have known everything he's ever said and done was because we worked on things together on our phones during the few times a year we were traveling. And Nano's document showed 2 of my screenshots from over a year apart from separate situations where I knew more or less what had happened between her and Red. There were no other evidence presented for their claims. But they told everybody absolutely had to be this way. Emphasis was placed on Red's usage of we and are and that type of thing. So yeah, the Red's language was a problem there. Do not condone anything about what Red said about in these DMs either. And him using we and are in a context is horribly incorrect, and I believe was done greater credibility behind it he was saying. Yeah, it might have been done for that. And then Red says here, I have always been more or less creative lead on what things we did, models, designs, project ideas, art in general. Cinder often agreed with my creative judgment. She trusted me to do the communication I did for her, oversight, that type of thing. For example, a lot of times it would be the one talking about artists we were working with who only knew was Cinder's manager. If I knew the direction I wanted to take something with or without talking to Cinder beforehand, and I wanted this art to be like this instead of Cinder wants this art to be like this, then I felt like an awkward thing for me to say. So he's trying to justify what he did, which honestly, there is no justification for what the dude did. Then I felt like an awkward thing to say. See, I'm the manager, not the creator, not the streamer, not the client. What I myself wanted wasn't important. What Cinder wanted was, so in order to give weight to what I would say, starting using we early on, without speaking to her directly or saying Cinder, if we wanted to do something a certain way, then it'd give me agency by implying that we both agreed on and made the decision. That Cinder was aware of the decision being made, regardless of what it was or wasn't, and my words had meaning. I was speaking on the we brand's behalf. It became a habit of mine to do it this way. So they're trying to absolve Cinder of everything here. Didn't start doing this because anyone told me we should be. In the case of the exclusivity deal with Nano, I used we when talking about Bao, so it seemed like Cinder also backed how I felt. Cinder not only wasn't aware of this, but I knew she didn't agree with me about what I was saying. In our conversation, Nano herself said she was not really down with working with people who Cinder didn't want her to. I made sure to tell Nano how we felt, expressing my own feelings to her as if we were both of us. There are 3 things in my apology I need to correct and show in full detail in the document. Missing information, lies, incorrect statements in my apology. Left out a lot of information regarding the experience with Silvervale and trying to overly apologize to her. And ended up making things sound much worse than it really happened. I lied about not knowing that Red spoke to Nano. Okay, so here's one thing she actually accepts here. She accepts some responsibility. I lied about not knowing that Red spoke to Nano about Spite in 2023 to not make things worse for myself by revealing more than Nano or Spite did about what happened regarding to her. So she omitted some stuff. Was wrong about which year the situation in Neon Tales took place. I wrote that it was after my debut, but it's actually an entire year after. An year earlier. And apology accusations made against me did not cover everything Red and I have done wrong. They had everything below. So here's the thing. She made a bullet point. This is insane. She actually made a bullet point thing about everything that they're guilty of. We both became neglectful in many friendships and personal relationships online in IRL. Red and I became consumed by our work, prioritized career over all else. That's a very bad thing to do. You should be a human being, not just consumed with your work. Red considered everyone, including our friends, competition to some degree, and I agreed. That is also not good. Your friends, not competition. That is something that I hate. I hate because it happened to me. It says, Red and I left Tricky at our hotel in Tokyo one day during Japan trip in 2024. This is really, that is mean. I didn't know about that, but that is mean. You don't leave a friend just like that and just like, what the hell? They want to do something with you and you left them like that? That's really fucked up. I will say that. Chose to distance myself from Cotton after what happened between her and a friend. That is also fucked up. I tried going back on my agreement with the artist Nixeu in April 2025. You don't do that. An agreement is agreement. You are what your word, if you can stand behind your word, then it's great. If not, you destroy your whole thing. Red asked Nano to not work with Spite in January 2023 and told me about it afterwards. I lied about not knowing. He spoke about her to Spite. In my apology to avoid talking about it. That's also fucked up. Red initially dissuaded Nano from accepting my model Giddy in November 2023. All these things are really fucked up. Guilt trip Nano in November 2023, February 2025, but I still sided with her. Red reassured Nano about her considering and canceling Bao's model. A new Bao's model was cancelled in August 2024. I didn't try to do anything to think about it. Red and I agreed to talk about Nano exclusivity, including not working with Silvervale, especially any more models. In January 2025, Red and Nano agreed to deal before to not work with Silver, Bao, Cotton, or January 2025, only telling me about Silvervale's inclusion. Red spoke to Nano about Shy Lydia in April 2025, after seeing Nano work on a model for her, and never told me about this conversation. We asked our video editor about exclusivity after Bao started working with them in September. Red convinced himself Bao gatekept her video editor to hurt our future music video projects, but he never mentioned it as it being him, thinking that not anyone else. Red convinced Bao to keep, we already read that part, didn't speak about Bao to clear things up about what we knew Red held against her, and it led me to be an awful friend to her for months at the start. Both Red and I mismanaged the planning and the communication with Numi about her concert at the start of February 2025, pulled out of performing at her show, and almost didn't go after choosing business over a friend. That's really fucked up. We both grew to dislike Silvervale over the past few years of various reasons, including harassment comparisons, my own insecurities, and Silvervale acted towards me. Red asked an artist not to work with Silvervale in March 2025 and never talked to me about it. Red and I assumed Spite was copying me in 2022 and 2023, which Spite did refute because Spite wasn't copying. Spite was actually doing a lot of these things that they alleged were copying before Cinder even did it. And as was shown in the document, and that is, of course, fucked up that that was even assumed at any point. Every claim of wrongdoing was made against Red or I isn't listed above is not true. Whether it was an assumption or a lie, someone in a document, statement about me, or verbal on stream would list the false accusations here, but there have been such a ridiculous amount at this point, I don't even know where to start. I let this document speak for itself. Actions were not over the years like public was told. The majority of these actions happened in an 8-month span from August 2024 to April 2025. How each person was affected, if they were affected at all, is explained throughout the document. Okay. Yeah, friends. To falsely claim that I was using, manipulating, sabotaging, betraying, backstabbing all of my friends for years in an effort to deplatform and ruin their careers. There was never some kind of years-long grand conspiracy or deceit against anyone. I've never pushed the ladder down behind me. I have never been jealous or envious of any of my friends or anyone else. My friends were not stepping stones I used to further myself. I love my friends. Our experiences together are real. Our memories together are real. It hurts that I even need to say this. There are plenty of things my friends know I've done for them, helped them with, or included them in for no reason other than that they were my friends. I've always answered their questions and offered them advice whenever they asked, done my best to be there for support for them and their debuts with their own endeavors, and I've personally bought so much of their merch for myself without ever saying so. I literally brought brownies my mom made across the country to share with them, spent my own time making any kind of cosplay pieces of their VTubers for them for no reason other than they were my friends. More than the 3 finished pieces below were planned for more of my friends, including Bao. Before I put all my crafting focus into Nihilister cosplay, it meant a lot to me that I could make things meant for them. These things here were things made for them, which were actual headpieces, actual IRL headpieces, and other things here. I don't know what they think I did against them or what I listed above. The ideas came from, or the rumors were hearing about me, or how my friends collectively agreed this must have been the case after everything we've done and shared each other. Obviously could have been a much better friend, but I just can't believe every single one of them thought this little of me in a moment's notice. There were about a dozen of my friends involved before Nano's document was posted, and still not one of them has said anything to me before they were posted publicly. A lot of friendship did suffer due to what my priorities have been, especially over the course of 2024. Because of my focus being overwhelmingly work and less on personal relationships outside of it, I neglected people I cared about, and so did Red, both online and IRL, even my closest friends. Even unless I was about work, I didn't put as much energy into talking about anything hanging out. That's to say I never did, never wanted to, or disliked them for any reason. Had my own things going on. I know they had theirs. When I was streaming on working or something, been isolating or hanging out with Red to decompress, and I didn't have the energy to socialize. I tried to plan collabs as friends as much often as I could, and it was a way to hang out while I was still appeasing the content brain. My collabs with friends were made into the YouTube videos, but to say that I was using them for that, as if countless other VTubers don't do the same thing, is crazy. When I was trying to see my friends, all I wanted to do was hang out and spend as much time together as I could. As happy as I was, Red and I always loved, looked out, and appreciated our friends, and even if we didn't show it often as we could. I'm sorry for those friends who I haven't given the time they gave me. I'm sorry to those I haven't spoken to in a long time for no other reason than my own negligence. I'm sorry to the friends that I only focused on work with and didn't spend enough time being a friend outside of. Business mindset, Red and I are slowly becoming more closed off and neglectful of people over the past couple of years, especially throughout 2024. Focusing more and more of our time on energy as a career, work became almost 24/7 for us, never taking a break. Our job, our hobby, almost all we talked about. We love what we did. We both getting consumed by the content grind. Our work-life balance became inconsistent. Non-existent. We were going all day, every day, 2-person team. Basically saying here, this whole big thing here is saying that they were way too focused on the business, way too focused on being content creators, being whatever, and not focused enough on the human side of it, the human aspect of it. And money was nice, but it was never been a driving factor in what we did. Indicator of a successful project, event, merch drop, anyone understood. The majority of what I made spent back in my work. As it's true for most big VTubers, the majority of what they make, they spend back in their work. Or towards the house, my dad's been building and released a lot of merch, and something Red and I have both been passionate about, coming up with a release cool, new merch products. Basically, this is basically saying to turn down merch. Say money wasn't an issue. Money wasn't the problem here. Merchandise opportunities, many more sponsorship opportunities than I ever accepted. When taking those I really wanted or had a strong interest in, even though a lot of them were paying very well. Being a greedy, money-hungry person was been falsely projected onto me. It's never been at all about the money for either of us. One instance I may be called out for regarding this was during my Heaven-Bound model debut. During my lore video, I had an intermission where my chat needed to fill a gold bar screen with the bits of progress of the video. The easiest way for me to implement interactivity into the debut. My chat having direct involvement by cheering me was important to the stories being shown. The motivation wasn't to have people give me money for the sake of it. My mindset got myself in my career where it was, but it took over our lives to an unhealthy degree, leading to the deterioration of our health and relationships with people. Being canceled and away from the work gave us time to address the problem in our lives. For example, down here, they're going to go through everything here, the competition. Yeah, it's just, I have my own dog now. It's been keeping me busy. I've had back cosplaying after not working from an Alistair build for months. I've been trying to lead a healthier lifestyle, and I've been going to the gym regularly, despite finding it difficult to be motivated about things since April. Been making changes, so I'm glad she's making some changes. But, you know, it is what it is. Red always considered everyone our competition, including my friends, understood and agree with this reasoning below. Didn't change anything between my friends and I. Red says, content creation sphere is massive. VTuber sphere is a faction of what its own audience. Everyone is always doing something, launching something, playing something, and it's a constant race for relevancy. Whether you want to look at it that way or not, It's the nature of an industry, part of the reason why we are always working with new things, releasing bigger things at a faster rate, stay competitive in the space. In a general sense, everyone was competition. Friends, VTubers, other content creators, but at the same time, that everyone could be considered competition, they were also collaborators, co-workers, partners. The end goal was about staying relevant in people's minds, making sure our project was seen alongside anything going on at any given time, while we also topping our own things we've done in the past. At no point was this view ever motivation or excuse to hurt, take advantage of, or put down creators around us, especially friends. This is a business, it's a job, but keeping the business aspect of things in mind don't affect the way I saw our friendship with people or the way I treated them. There are many friends too, who both cared about them, supported them, and helped them in the way they needed it. We've always had the backs of the people closest to us. The only people I've ever considered as direct competition in a negative sense were people either we had something against, or that they did something against us, and were working the artists important to us. By April 2025, this is only Silverveil from how she acted towards Cinder for years, Bow after what I thought she did to us and our other friends in December 2024, but only until something I had to deal with Nano in 2025. And potentially soon to be Lily is by the way she was treating Cinder, and coincidentally getting a model from Nanolist at the same time. It was wrong of me to feel this way, but towards Bow, I'm sorry. Tricky V. People Red and I hurt don't have a larger section in this document. My friends, Red and I traveled to Japan this year. About a week after into our trip to the country, we were at Tokyo for the last few days. Red, Tricky, and I were all talking about going to Godzilla store the night we arrived, but other plans left us with no time to go. The next morning, Red and I were up super early and we were ready to leave the hotel at 8 or 9 a.m. We waited in our hotel room for about an hour without hearing from Tricky at all. Because we only had a few days left in Japan, Red and I wanted to make the most out of remaining time. Here's the thing. Why don't you call her? Why don't you call her room? Why don't you text her, see something? That was a big mistake you made. We were around friends all week, didn't have much, if any, time together in Japan. Other half dozen of us were either had our own plans or were still sleeping too. There were other friends staying at the same hotel as Red, Tricky, and I. Instead of waiting around for Tricky to wake up, we selfishly chose to go out to the city and Godzilla store without her. That is horrible. By the time Tricky was awake, she was ready to leave the hotel. Red and I were across the city and didn't get back to her. We only met up with her towards the end of the day where everyone reconvened somewhere. Red and I are sorry to Tricky for leaving her behind and hurting her. We've always been there for her, especially when we traveled together. We didn't think she'd be left completely alone with how many of us were together in Tokyo. Communicate, man. That's the biggest issue here. Communicate. But we still shouldn't have waited. We should have waited for her instead of going off on our own. She was one of our best friends, and we're both sorry. Well, no longer. She's not a friend any longer. I'm sorry, Cotton, for the way I avoided and turned down a collabs together for a situation that had nothing to do with me. I thought I was being a good friend to someone I was close with, but I was unfair to her and treat her that way. I did not agree with how Red included her name in this deal with Nano, and I wouldn't have let him if I knew about it, regardless of how I felt about her at the time. And it says, here, Cotton Telvia, sorry for the way I avoided her to turn down collabs for this, blah, blah, blah. Sorry for Cotton for the way I avoided her and turned down collabs together in a situation that had nothing to do with me. I thought I was being a good friend to someone I was close with, but I was unfair to treat her that way. I did not agree with how Red included her name in the deal with Nano, and I wouldn't have let him if I knew about it. Regardless of how I felt about it at the time. Red, here. I was wrong to ask Nano not to work with Cotton. It was a spur of the moment thing, and after hearing about the situation she was involved in, I took it upon myself to do what I thought was right by another friend. Cotton's always been nice to me personally, and she didn't deserve that. I am sorry. Nixeu, the leader, tweeted about a document about me. And of course, Nixeu is a artist. She shouldn't have because she was right. I was going to include it in here for reference, but I've left it out because it's what she wrote in it. So instead, I summarize the situation below. I don't want any kind of public reaction to this. I really do not want to appear on videos or similar. I don't want my case being used as an excuse to put more hate into it. So I want to share it and let it on my chest. Probably delete it in the end. Nixeu, or IMAF, is an artist, reached out to me via email, making an artwork to exchange for showing it off as shout out to Patreon and stream. I hadn't seen the email. She made a tweet laying out. I hadn't seen the email. She made a tweet laying out our terms, tagged me in it. I messaged that I was interested, put her in contact with Red, and handled things there. Through Red, we made our agreement. It wasn't until she had a large portion of the sketch finished when I had changed my mind about our agreement and didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know what she was going through her head, or my head, or what the reason was for this, but I told Red to call it off. Red tried to make it seem like there was a miscommunication between somewhere to save face for me, really because I was being unprofessional. He talked to me about it, agreed to follow through with the art, some showcase shout out on the stream. However, I failed to show Nixeu's terms as they were agreed upon. Didn't verbally shout her out her Patreon. Oh yeah, that's the one. I remember. I did actually talk about it. I didn't see this part about not making a video on it, but I did talk about it in stream, I believe. She wasn't shouted out the way that that she was supposed to be. So that was really messed up. Didn't verbally shout out our Patreon, linked to the artwork. I also didn't show censored NSFW version of the art, but that was what I was worried about, getting in trouble with Twitch. This was an unprecedented situation, caused an artist. I caused with an artist, and I've never done something like this to anyone else. I handled the agreement and made extremely and regrettably unprofessionally. This was a way out of character for me, and I'm sorry, Nixeu, for how I handled things and for the stress I caused her. I encourage anyone reading this to please support her and her incredible work. After 15 hours, finally got to the end of the Pyropup thing. To get to the Pyropups, this is her specific message to the Pyropups. I apologize for my voice. My voice is kind of out because, of course, 15 hours of talking kind of does that to you if you're not used to it. To any current former Pyropups, I'm so sorry for each and one of you that you've been disappointed. I can imagine what it must have felt like for someone like you to be look up to reveal as a monster and your community torn apart. Make a poorly put together statement and disappeared, leaving you all angry, confused, lost. Many of you lost faith in me. I'm sorry I have said anything sooner, but I hope you can at least understand why. I received messages from many Pyropups who were hurt. Some of these people I personally knew and have met in person. It broke my heart hearing how many of them viewed me after this, but I understand. 20 Pyropups who choose not to support me going forward. I can accept that. Thank you for everything you've done for me over the years. I'm glad I could be your Okami Oshi. For the time I only ask that you continue to love and support your new favorite creators in the same way you did for me. I've also gotten lots of messages from Pyropups who supported me, encouraged me to go on. To those of you who have continued to believe in me, thank you and appreciate you for keeping the fire of the community burning all this time. I've read your messages and they've given me hope that I can make through this. You've shown me that there's something to come back to. That includes the moderators who stuck around and managed my Discord server and community in my absence. Can't thank you enough for your help keeping everyone together. To anyone who sent hate or harassment in support of me, you are not a Pyropup. You are not my fan. You are deplorable, disgusting, and I don't want anything to do with you. I've never condoned or encouraged that behavior from anyone for any reason. The circumstances haven't made me sacrifice my morals. Circumstances have not made her sacrifice her morals. That goes for anyone who does the same after this document is posted. What's done is done, and regardless of what I said in this document, it's not an excuse to harass anyone named here. Leave them alone, or you will be removed from my community. And they have been. The Pyropups have been aggressive at removing people who are a problem. They have. I want to sincerely apologize again for anyone who has been affected by these people. Pyropups have been in the best community I've ever asked for. Been incredibly lucky to have them. They have been never been just numbers to me. I love going live and talking to them for hours on end. Hanging out with them made me smile when I was upset. They've always been there for me. They're the reason why I was ever able to do any cool things I could. Not only have they shown me immense kindness at the time of midstream, they've done the same for each other. They have each other's backs, help each other when they can, encourage each other, and are a positive force for anyone they interact with. I'm happy I can inspire them to do good, make friends, tap into their creativity. They're also talented, and I'm grateful for the vast amount of fan art I've gotten from them too. Even if they aren't supporting me anymore, or if I was no longer around, I know that being a Pyropup will continue to mean much more to them, much more than just being a fan of mine. They're incredibly strong, loving, and I'm very proud of them. I will always be indebted to them for everything they've done for me. Red, hey gang, I need to apologize to you all too. It's my fault all this happened in the first place. My mistakes sent Cinder into hiding and left you all questioning what to do. I'm sorry I caused all of this. I hope you can still support Cinder and the projects you create in the future. Thank you for those who stuck around. Your support has been big help. Now to continue on, looking ahead. Also a short message, about 3 paragraphs long. Yeah, 3 paragraphs long. Earlier this year, world fell apart, lost my friends, fans, opportunities I could never have dreamed of, but sometimes things need to fall apart in order to rebuild them back together. I'm choosing to look on the bright side. I needed something to break me out of my cycle of working all day, every day, and adjust my lifestyle for a healthy work-life balance. It was a long overdue reminder that the friends I've made should have been the most important thing in the world to me, and I should have put more time and energy into my relationship with them outside of the work we did together. They're supposed to be by my side even when I'm not Cinder anymore. I lost sight of that, and I'm in a never-ending pursuit of the next big thing. Forced me to recognize that through my own actions or inaction, I was hurting people that only ever wanted the best for me. If ever given the chance, I don't plan on making the mistake again, despite everything that's happened. I forgive my friends, don't hold anything back against my friends who weren't involved. The artists I've worked with, business partners, former mods, for anything they did after that all happened. I'm sorry for how they were affected by all of this. We don't have time to think everything over and again. Obviously, the root cause of almost everything that happened was because of poor communication between Red and I, between me and my friends, between them and me. Poor decisions made under pressure. I was under pressure from Red about his feelings about Bao and made me distance myself from her. Pressure from myself made me choose V-Card over Numi's concert. Pressure from harassment and my insecurities that led me trying to cut off Silverveil from Nano's models. Red and I both had plenty of time to talk things out with people. Neither of us did. Everything was made public, could have been settled privately. This is a set awful precedent for the entirety of the Vtuber community. It did. Now there's gonna be a ton of Google Docies now. There have been. It's been really bad. Feel what's become more divisive and drama. It's been the whole season of fucking Google Docies. Drama has filled since this happened. I've always had problems communicating with people. I do my best to be more open about what I'm thinking and feeling about them, even if it's difficult to avoid any other situations like this from happening again. Red and I have both made mistakes. We aren't perfect people. We aren't evil either. We're going to try to contact anyone who we owe an apology to personally, even if apology to them was in this document, and hope to move on. I don't blame the internet for being the internet, making memes at my expense, and countless news and drama channels farming this for views. I just business, and it's just another Google Docie, but I didn't want to hide this from the rest of my life, and I couldn't let my legacy be decided by anyone other than myself. Now there's nothing else for me to say. I can finally look ahead, and I'm ready to return to doing what I love. Even if it's a smaller scale, I want to stream again, I want to create again, I want to inspire people again. I want to be someone that people can laugh to again. I love being a VTuber, and I love being SInder. Thank you for reading, and thank you for waiting. This was not a big innocent, like, yay, I'm innocent now. This showed a lot of bad shit for Red, and it does take a lot of maturity to show that. It does show a lot of bad shit for Nano. It makes me rethink things about Shy Lily. Silverveil's kind of catty, but you know, that's like splitting hairs with that thing. The Silverveil, the Aru, and the Spite stuff was splitting hairs pretty much. Welcome back, everybody, to the VTuber Showcase, the place where I like to showcase up-and-coming VTubers of various sizes, shapes, forms, types, everything in between. Sorry, my voice is a little bad today, so I am doing it as good as I can. Today, we're talking about ChaosRoseVT, a VTuber, Twitch affiliate, variety streamer, and we are going to be taking a look at their Twitch side, which is here, ChaosRose, your local draconic VTuber, so a dragon VTuber. Let's take a look at what they've done recently. And I will try to make sure that this is not too loud for you guys, but at least has some volume in it.
Ew, 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 ew.
So yeah.
Ew, 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 ew.
So yeah, I never really died to that one, but I can see how that can happen, because if you don't know the moveset, it can be very tough. And I think she had it on hard mode as well. So of course, hard mode makes it very much, their hits a lot harder, and it makes everything a lot tougher. So let's go on to the YouTube side. We have ChaosRoseVT here, she, her, 21 subscribers on the YouTube side. I always show you the YouTube side because, you know, sometimes people want to know the YouTube instead of Twitch, whichever one you prefer. So today we're looking at this with videos. She has a little bit of videos here. Streamathon Day 2 announcement. He has some shorts and other things here. So of course, thank you so much, ChaosRoseVT, for allowing me to showcase you on my channel. And I do hope this helps you in some way. Thank you guys for watching, as always, and of course, take a look, and if you enjoy everything, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, all those things that YouTube asks of you. Really do appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.